Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to do something I have kind of avoided talking about because honestly I just don't like getting caught up in all this hysteria about the Glock Generation 5 pistol. I've gotten a lot of emails and private messages asking me to comment on the Gen 5 Glock and what I think about the Gen 5 Glock. And even many of my followers have thanked me for not talking about it, but the volume of messages that I'm getting is prompting me to make this short video to explain to you why I am not excited about the Generation 5 Glock. So let's take a look at the Generation 5 Glock first of all. This is a Gen 5 Glock 19. They've changed a few things about the handgun, but not a whole lot. At the muzzle end, we have a contoured muzzle. This looks very reminiscent of the M series that the FBI got and that the Indianapolis police got. They've beveled it here, which I find curious. I mean, I guess it's nice if you're trying to line your handgun up with a leather holster, but in the day of modern Kydex holsters that stay open, I see very little value in this. I would rather have the rear contoured. I'm more worried about snagging my handgun when drawing it than snagging my handgun when reholstering it. But anyway, it's contoured. Maybe it looks cool to some folks. I don't know. One thing that many people have pointed out, and I've noticed as well, is they've contoured the front of the slide but left a shelf here on the polymer. It's like it's kind of half finished, which is something you would expect to be finished by Glock. Moving back, we have a new finish that Glock claims is superior to their previous Tenifer finishes. It's a slick finish, which I don't know that I like after going through the gauntlet test with the APX, which has a very slick finish. This might make it difficult to operate the slide, to do malfunction clearing drills and things like that with that super slick finish. That's yet to be seen, but the serrations back here on the rear of the slide are the same. Something that's not changed, the base model still comes with the same plastic sights, which are awful. If you're going to buy a Glock of any generation and you plan to carry it, replace the sights. I've seen these things break multiple times. Plastic sights on a fighting handgun, it's just ridiculous. And the fact that Glock is still doing that is kind of mind-boggling to me. They've probably heard many complaints, but yet they refuse to change that. I will point out that you can get a Gen 4, which I'm holding up here, with front slide serrations and metal sights. But, you know, as an upgrade, you can put night sights or whatever onto your Generation 5 gun. Coming back, we still have, the accessory rail here. We have the same squared off trigger guard. The trigger's the same for the most part, maybe a little bit of a contour change, or maybe it's a little smoother feeling, but nothing much different there. But one big difference is the fact that they've gone back to a single pinhole design. Now, this is nothing new. The second generation of first generation Glocks had a single pinhole. It was located a little further back, which creates a problem for aftermarket folks trying to build internal upgrade parts. The Gen 5 changes things up, and it's going to force them into making changes in their designs, which I'm sure they appreciate. But we're back to a one-pin design. One definite improvement is the addition of a ambi slide stop slide release. So now we have that on both sides of the handgun. That's a definite plus. Coming back, everything back here is pretty much the same. Texturing's changed a little bit, and now we're back again to the non-finger groove pistol. So in the Generation 3 handgun, when they improved upon perfection, they added finger grooves. Now when they're improving upon perfection, they've removed those finger grooves. We have a flared magazine well, and it is quite flared. And we've gone back to a cut here on the front of the grip frame that's reminiscent of the Generation 2 guns. So again, what's old is new again with the Glock Gen 5. And this is supposed to facilitate the stripping of magazines that may be stuck in the weapon when you're clearing a malfunction. I don't like that. I think that's a really dumb place to place a cutout. Most people, when they want to go to clear a malfunction and to strip the magazine, they pinch the magazine like this, which is harder to do because of the new flaring. Very few people hook the front of the magazine with their finger and try to strip a magazine out like this. Most people want to pinch it. Many guns will have cutouts or tapers on the frame so you can pinch the base plate and pull the magazine free from the gun. This, in my opinion, is just a bad design. One other thing that they've changed, they've maintained the Generation 4 spring on the inside, but they've gone to a new marksman's barrel, which means that the gun is presumably more accurate than previous generations of Glocks. Now, I would argue that the existing generation of Glocks from Generation 1 to Generation 4 and including Generation 5, the limit in accuracy isn't the barrel or mechanical accuracy, it's the shooter that is inaccurate. Every one of the Glocks that's on the market right now is mechanically more accurate than the shooter that's shooting them 99.999% of the time. So to me, the new Marksman barrel is little more than a marketing ploy, them just trying to make up something to make this gun look new again. And that's my problem with the Generation 5 handgun. Many of the new features are simply rehashes of old features. If you take a look at a Generation 2 handgun, you'll notice it doesn't have finger grooves, and it has that same silly cut in the front of the grip to strip magazines out. However, unlike the Generation 5, the Generation 2, I can actually pinch and pull the floor plate if I have to because it's narrow enough here. On the Generation 5, they flared that, and now I can't pinch that base plate and strip it out. I'm stuck trying to do a goofy maneuver like that. So I can't say that that's all that great. You'll also notice that on the Generation 2 handgun, we have a single pin design, right? And of course, I'm going to move to the Gen 5 now. We have a single pin design. Just once again, that pin is moved slightly in its location. If you look at a Generation 4 gun, there's 2 pinholes. So Glock's just going back and forth between generations that they've already had to make the new Generation 5 handgun. So if you take a look at my old carry gun, you'll notice the carry gun has finger grooves. It doesn't have that cutout in the front. And I actually like this Glock. I like Glocks in general, guys. I'm not bashing on Glocks. I'm just at a loss for words when trying to find a reason to call this a Generation 5 pistol. Glock really kind of hit the pinnacle of its design reliability with the Generation 2 gun, in my opinion. And they've even gone back to many of the Gen 2 features, right down to the grip, the cutout, all that stuff. And they're just calling it a Generation 5 handgun. Of course, they've changed the sculpting on the nose of the slide a little bit. They claim that the gun's more reliable now, and I guess they're suggesting that their previous guns were unreliable. I don't know that to be true. But that's why I've not talked about this handgun, guys. There's very little to get excited about. It's still the same blocky feeling handgun. It's just a practical tool. If you have a Generation 4 or a Generation 3, I would not recommend you race out and buy a Generation 5. You're going to get nothing for your money. If you don't like the finger grooves, just pick up a Generation 2 gun or pick up a Generation 3 and take them off yourself, or I guess buy a Generation 5 if you really want to give Glock more of your money. I just don't see much in the way of improvements on the handgun. While we have a slide, stop, slide release on both sides of the gun, we still just have a magazine release that you can reverse that's only on one side of the gun. So Glock is, you know, maybe just 10 years behind the competition now. They're slowly catching up, and that's kind of been my view of Glock for the last several years. It's not that it's a bad handgun, it's a good handgun, it's just Glock hasn't innovated anything in 36 years. This handgun, aside from minor tweaks and changes to cosmetics and a few minor functional changes like the recoil spring differences between the previous generations and the Gen 4 and now the Gen 5, it's just a facelift. Let's go ahead and shoot this Generation 5 Glock and see what it feels like. Huh, that feels strangely like a Glock. There's something a little bit different about this one though. That's what's different. They're using orange followers now in the Generation 5. Oh, that's pretty cool. I wonder how it compares to my old carry gun, which is a Generation 3 Glock. That feels strangely like a Glock. Yeah, but you can just tell it doesn't have that orange follower in it. Come on, Glock, do something fresh and new for once, would you?
Just want to point out on a side note that the old Glock produced a smaller group on the left.
So this Glock shot this group, and the Gen 5 Glock shot this group. Coincidence? Inquiring minds want to know. I thought the marksman barrel made it shoot more accurately. So that's why I've not made this video. I know I've upset many of my Glock fans, guys. I'm not saying Glock is a bad handgun. I'm just saying they're a one-trick pony, and I don't get excited at their generational changes. It seems like every time they change the generations, all they do is introduce problems. With the Gen 4, the guns were unreliable. They had all sorts of problems with those nested double recoil springs and the extractors. Took them a year to sort all that out, just in time for them to go to the Gen 5 a year after that. If you take a look at the M series that the FBI purchased and that the Indianapolis police got, which I had the chance to go down and shoot, those handguns were all recalled because they spontaneously disassembled themselves when they were fired. Glock keeps messing with something that has been working fine for 40 years. They just need to stop messing with it and come out with something new if they're going to. Otherwise, just leave it alone, guys. There's no reason for these generational changes. The only reason they're making these generational changes is for marketing purposes. They're just trying to keep themselves relevant while they do nothing in their R&D group. So that's just my opinion. It's worth exactly what you paid for it. Don't call me a Glock basher. I'm not a paid shill for Smith & Wesson, CZ, or anybody else. That's nonsense. If I see you posting that, you get banned. It's an absolute lie. All I'm saying, guys, is I'm just not excited about the Gen 5. If I was going to start carrying a Glock again, I'd carry my Gen 3. This thing's set up just the way I like it, and it works perfectly for me. Guys, if you'd like to hear future rants like this one, please consider swinging by and becoming a patron supporter. We post behind-the-scenes information. We do original blog posts and content, post pictures. We do giveaways from videos, things that we've used in videos in the past, and we do all sorts of stuff for our patrons to say thank you for that support. And I ask that you not just support the Military Arms channel, because all channels, paintball, airsoft, firearms, knife channels, they're all facing demonetization right now. If you find them on Patreon and you consume their content, please consider supporting those channels as well. Also, guys, please join the NRA. Get in the fight. We're fighting right now with the new administration at the NRA with Pete Brownell at the helm. We're struggling to try to get people joined with us in this fight to go ahead and repeal some of the gun laws we're currently living under, not just stopping new ones from passing. You can do that by joining the NRA. Use the link down below. That link is a special link that brings me money. Every single cent that the NRA gives me for you becoming a member or re-upping your membership, that money gets given to a 503 nonprofit organization called Hero Hunt, which gets wounded warriors and first responders out into the field hunting again and really does great things. So spread that link around, guys, and let other people use it to join the NRA, because, again, all that money goes to a very worthy cause. Also, guys, please swing by and check us out at Copper Custom, which is our online store. You can find us there at coppercustom.com. Guys, thank you for all those years of support. To my Glock viewers and fans, I'm sorry if this video is a letdown to you. I still love my Glocks. Don't get upset with me. I'm not a basher, but thank you for watching, guys, and for all those years of support. We'll talk to you soon.